Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project365, episode 75. Today we're back on creatine. We talked about nutrition stuff last week, and I got a couple questions roll in about which was the best form of creatine. There's a whole bunch of different out there. Which one should I take? Why would I take that? And such. So I'm going to try to answer that question, but at the same time I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible because I realize that we're not all supplement junkies out there. So, just to review, creatine, what is it used for? It's used to help resynthesize ATP. And we know that ATP is the currency of the cell. It's used to allow us to get energy throughout the cell. And it's the only way that we kind of work cellularly. All right? So we know that if we have increased creatine, that we can increase the synthesis of ATP. We can make more ATP. And if we can increase the synthesis of ATP and make more ATP, then we can increase cellular energy. If we have more cellular energy, we can do more work, bottom line, period. Now, the thing that gets a little bit cloudy that I think people forget about is that when we're supplementing creatine, we must take it orally, right? I guess we could inject it, but I don't know of any studies with that. It's a little bit out of my scope, so I'm not going to talk about that. Either way, creatine supplemented orally goes down into the stomach, right, where it's semi-digested and then enters into the intestinal tract, the small intestine, and that's where 90% of that absorption happens. So I blew this up here. You can kind of see we have an intestinal tract, and then it goes into the blood vessel. Now, creatine has to get from the intestinal tract to the blood vessel because that's where the systemic blood supply takes it to where it needs to go to help it resynthesize that ATP and provide those cells with energy. So, knowing that, we're going to move up here to the types of creatine. When we talk about the types of creatine, we have creatine monohydrate. That's the gold standard. That's the one that everyone knows about. That's the one that all the studies are done with, okay? Then, as we move down, our second form of creatine, that's a buffer creatine. They do this in many different ways, guys. They have, I picked out 3 here. It's by no means a complete list. Citrate, nitrate, esters. What these guys attempt to do is they attempt to increase absorption rate by pairing the creatine molecule with another molecule, in some cases a nitrate or an alcohol group or citrate, okay? But the bottom line is the effects, the physiological effects of that creatine isn't changed, okay? It does increase the absorption, and it increases some convenience because you don't have to take as much. There's some there's some research out there that says that it decreases the bloating because it doesn't hold as much water and stuff like that. Moving on down to the micronized creatine. That's a creatine that they took the molecule and they chopped it up. One of the things I didn't say about monohydrate, it's a rather large molecule. Molecularly speaking, it's big. So it doesn't get absorbed very well. A lot of it stays inside the gut and then gets excreted outwards. It doesn't really get over to the blood-brain, through the blood-brain barrier and into the blood vessel. So what they did here is they chopped it up and they said, okay, well if I make it smaller, it should be absorbed better. And that is true to a certain extent, but again, physiological effects are the same as monohydrate. Creatine is creatine here. The last form that I'm going to talk about is serum. That's the types that aren't the powders or the pills. Okay, they come in the little bottles a lot of times in a dropper type bottle. But this is just creatine monohydrate, normally in some type of serum, some type of glucose or pH buffered serum. And again, not a big change. There's actually not a big change in the way that it's absorbed either. It's just that it's a convenience factor. So here's the bottom line when I look at this. Monohydrate is still the best bang for your buck. It's the original one. It's the one that we've always used. And to tell you the truth, it's the one that all the research is done with, right? So I want to do the stuff that or use the stuff that all the research itself has been done with because that's the one that has those proven results. And guys, yes, you're going to see research out the wazoo for these different buffer and these different micronized and serum creatines. But the truth is they're basically done. If you look at who does the research, they're basically done by the people who produced it. So of course it's going to come out as a very positive study. And my last point of why I'd use monohydrate is because we're CrossFitters, and as CrossFitters, we tend to be simple. I am not a strict paleo person. As you guys might see, I have some ice cream every now and then. I hope I do not get beat up by the paleo gods for that. But here's the thing. I still like to say that I'm a clean eater, meaning that I try to use one ingredient foods. If I'm eating chicken that day, I'm eating chicken. If I'm having a vegetable, I'm having a vegetable. I try to stay away from the industrialization of any type of foods. And basically that's what these things are, right? So if I use anything but monohydrate, that's the simplest, purest form of creatine, the original form, I'm somehow altering these, and I'm somehow industrializing them. And we should be able to tell by the way that the American society is now, at least, or the way that our modern, I shouldn't say American, I should say the way that our modern society tends to overuse industrialized foods. We know that they're not the best options. So why are we going to try to do them with now our supplements that we take? So guys, take that collectively. Again, it's a quick overview. It's by no means a complete set. Make sure you go ahead and log on to the website tonight. Check out a little bit more complete list and a little bit more better details. It's www.thewoddoc.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, we're optimizing function to optimize performance.